We now go inside out and welcome in SNY NBA insider Ian Begley. So, Ian, what will be the key to getting Towns more involved in the fourth quarter of Game 4?
Well, you saw San Antonio go to a different defensive alignment. They had Wembanyama on Josh Hart, and they had a wing on Towns. And that's something that the Knicks had struggled with, I don't know, over the past 2 seasons. I think they saw Towns a couple times looking to seal, but maybe not sealing that wing enough in the post to get him the ball. So maybe there's some of that. And then 2 things. One, he should be open for more threes in this defensive alignment. And the other thing is those early fourth quarter minutes where Jalen Brunson's resting, maybe that's somewhere you can get Towns going as the top offensive threat on the floor.
All right, speaking of Jalen Brunson, he's been clutch but not exactly efficient, shooting 37% with more turnovers than assists so far in the first 3 games. So what adjustments can Mike Brown come up with to make life easier for Brunson?
Maybe it's screening Castle off of him, because I think Castle's done a pretty good job. And then I think Brunson, just his own process of feeling out a series and also correcting things between games, I think he'll figure some things out here. Well, he'll be more efficient in Game 4. There are a couple possessions where he had his back to the basket, and his footwork is incredible, but he wasn't getting the separation that he was looking for or normally does, and he still took the shot and it didn't go in. So I just wonder if he's looking at some of those shots, maybe if he takes some of those out of his diet, and then the shooting percentages go up in Game 4. I think the decision-making, too, is going to be a little bit crisper, especially with those turnovers.
Yeah, screening Castle off him, as you mentioned, will be key because he's been D'ing him up from the full length of the court. All right, Ian, as you know, coaches whining about officiating during a playoff series is an NBA tradition like none other. So what kind of whistle are you expecting in Game 4 at the Garden after Mike Brown's post-game comments?
I think they'll look at the off-ball stuff probably a little bit tighter because of that Wembanyama, aggressive shove of Brunson that the NBA says is going to remain where it is. It won't be upgraded to a flagrant there. But I think they're going to look at the off-ball, the screening, and I think it'll be a little bit tighter. And I also think, with regards to the Spurs' physicality, specifically on Jalen Brunson, I think they'll have an eye on that because I'm sure the Knicks, back channel have communicated to the league some of the calls that they're upset with. And I think there's a correction or a reaction by the referees to a coach delivering that kind of public criticism. And I think there will be Game 4 after Brown's comments.
Yeah, that certainly goes back to the way Castle's been able to guard Brunson throughout the tournament, throughout the series. And obviously, officiating's been a major storyline in the last 2 games. Ian Begley, thanks for joining us here on Honda Sports Night.
All right, welcome in John Jastremski to talk some Knicks. And JJ, the NBA announced Tuesday night that the league will not upgrade Victor Wembanyama's push on Jalen Brunson to a flagrant foul. So that's controversial in and of itself. But the physical play is such a big story. So with the officiating, what do you expect the Knicks to adjust in Game 4?
Well, you have to be ready for what San Antonio is going to throw your way. And what do I mean by that? This is a team that has very physical guards. That's obvious. With Stephon Castle, with Dylan Harper, with Vassell, and then Victor Wembanyama. Let's acknowledge fact. He has gotten away with a ton in this series. Now, don't use it as an excuse. I got sick and tired running into Knicks fans throughout all of the tri-state area, for goodness sakes. I was in 4 boroughs today telling me, we lost this game because of the officials. That's absolute nonsense. That's total garbage.
But he's getting away with a lot.
He is, but then, yes, but you have to take care of the basketball. You have to play faster. You need better ball movement. Those are the reasons the Knicks lost game number 3. So, yeah, Wemby is going to look to get away with some stuff. You got to chip back at him. You got to match that level of physicality, but don't use it as an excuse. And to the Knicks' credit, they did not. They know they have to play much better in Game 4 if they're going to be up 3-1 in this series.
All right, speaking of Game 4, we know there was a lot of pressure riding on Game 3. Obviously, cracked under that pressure. So is Game 4 a must-win at home?
For everybody's sanity around New York City, yes, Nikki, because just look at the odds in this series. The Knicks were basically a 4-1 favorite going into Game 3. They lose Game 3. They're now -2-1, give or take, -180 if you want to be exact. So what does that tell you? If San Antonio goes and wins Game 4, they're going to be favored again to go and win this series. I don't necessarily buy it's a must-win because the Knicks have been great on the road. I think they can win at least one more game in San Antonio. But if you want to have the dream of winning 2 home games and not have to deal with the proposition of winning a game in Texas once again, well, then you better go and win Game 4. But, Nikki, for all of the Knicks fans that have been coasting and have been loving every minute of the good vibes throughout this 13-game win streak, the angst, the stress, the agita. I heard from my buddy today, Beningo. He's all stressed out about Game 4. Yeah. If you go and lose Game 4 and this series is even, the panic level will be through the roof.
The agita is on an all-time high. And Knicks fans are spending, God only knows how much money to be there. You got to give them a win at home in Game 4.
Nikki, a.k.a. too much money.
Too much money. All right, you're back talking more Knicks later in the show, JJ.